This is Insight. Phone lines are open. Dial 384-2191.
It is the third Friday in the month of November, and we have still on our docket here yet the County Board Chairman Doug Machon with us. Last time?
Last show.
Last show?
I'm an open book this morning, Jeff. The whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Yeah, let her fly. Nobody to answer to after this.
Right.
So what
My
is
wife.
Well, yeah.
Hey, hi, Jen. I know you're listening. My wife's not working now, so she's live streaming this at home. Hi, Jen. My lovely wife, Jen.
The situation is we just came off I guess I'd call it oddball election here, the way things were played out like something we haven't seen in, if ever. And now what happens with you then? The board itself chooses its new from within chairman?
Yeah, and that's a good thing you brought that up because there are going to be some changes. Obviously, these are unprecedented times for us, and we're in uncharted water. So actually, one of the final things I took part in was along with the Vice Chair, Donna Rosar, and parliamentarian, Lance Plimmel, I put forward a resolution to the county board, which will go before the county board on Tuesday. I will not be there, but it will be put before the board at the start of the meeting by the clerk, which will put in place some emergency declarations that will allow the meeting to proceed as far as with people not attending the meeting physically. We've never really had, in these times we don't have county board rules that specifically address those types of things. So procedurally, it will set some guidelines for business going on Tuesday, which is basically the presence of those elected officials. I think most of them are going to be there from what I've seen, but in case they don't want to, they'll have access. If they have access to electronic technology, they can attend that way. That will be put in place by that declaration, and there's a few other things that it addresses. And then there will be the election of the new county board chair, along with a vice chair, which we've always had, and now this time, which is new, a second vice chair. And I don't know. It depends on the new chairman. I think that there will be some specifics addressed in that resolution as well, where he may be able to, with the permission of the board, or not suspend that meeting, but adjourn that meeting early and put the business back to the next meeting until they get things straightened out in a more normal fashion.
Well, I'm certainly no expert on parliamentary procedure, but the way you just outlined it here, it sounds like you're talking about the gate when the horse is standing on the outside here. In other words, you're giving permission for people not to be at the meeting when they're already not at the meeting.
Yeah.
And you're giving permission to have a meeting.
Well, that's the premise of having that. Statutorily, we're okay. We can do that. The clerk's going to put that before the board as the first order of business.
Does it have to be in?
It will set the tables for it.
Does it have to be in writing that you can do this electronically and still be counted as president?
You know, that's a gray area.
They're wrangling with that
exactly
on the city level here.
Well, they're wrangling with it at the state level. Again, we're in unprecedented waters. We've never had this. I personally feel it needs to be addressed. Maybe we should have been more progressive a long time ago, because going forward, this may be the way we do business routinely. It's a new world we live in, and these things are going to become more and more important. If we have another wave of the virus, or who knows what the next virus or infection will be, I think that it's going to be standard. You're going to see people wearing masks all the time now, probably in the wintertime. It's going to be social distancing is probably going to become the norm in a lot of places, in a lot of cases. And let's put it down. Let's get it down statutorily, rule-wise with the county, and go forward.
I have this picture in my mind like a sci-fi movie where you're at the head of the room and you're looking out at a bunch of computer screens. Absolutely. And there's their faces looking back at you again. Yeah. And is the council all online?
and that's the way it goes. Believe me, Jeff, the last 3 weeks, almost close to 4 weeks now, I have been operating from my office in my home, and I have been doing everything either by WebEx or Zoom. And so at first that was a little clunky. But now, as I do it, I've actually convened meetings, adjourned meetings, ran meetings from my office on my computer. And once everyone knows the protocol, it's fairly easy to do. The big problem for the county board in that thing is that the balloting, the voting for the county board chairman was specified by county board rules to be secret ballot. Of course, if you're doing that electronically or on phone, it's hard to do that secretly. But it looks like most everyone is going to be there physically, so that won't be a problem. But we had our IT department was actually working on a solution so that they could do some type of secret balloting, even through electronic devices.
Talking with Doug Machon, County Board Chairman of Wood County, here about the unprecedented days we're in here, uncharted waters, on how the county's doing their business. And as you said, the city, the state, everybody's looking at, are we now in quorum? Are we not? Is this considered part of, can we do it this way? There was nothing in the minutes or the documents as to how this is going to proceed forward. So we're laying stuff down here. We're putting the carpet down as we're walking.
Good time to get out, eh?
Hey, that's your business.
Yeah. Who says I'm not clairvoyant? Take that. All you naysayers.
Yeah. I walked out the door and suddenly the room filled with water.
Yeah. There it was. But I think we'll be fine. Obviously, we do things differently. I mean, the last 3 weeks basically has started out every morning with me with 3 calls with our health officer, of course, to see what's changed, because numbers were changing daily, and at times by the minute. Our HR director and our corp counsel, make sure we were all getting the same information, make sure that we were all on the same page going forward. Again, been living, not physically there, but with my WebEx connections in the emergency operations center out of the courthouse. It's been very busy, 2 meetings a week right now. We started out every day, and then we went to 2 times a week. And we're involving everyone in the county, the hospitals on the north and south end, all the medical people, the law enforcement people, fire departments, emergency responders, all the county staff that needs to be involved, health officer. It's been very, very well done. Very well done. I'm very proud of the way we've handled that. Our emergency government director, Steve Cruiser, has done a fine job along with his staff. And just like the big storm we had in last July in the south end, but great job by those people.
Put on your headphones there. News Director Mike Warren, we'll invite him in here from the newsroom. We're distancing through the glass here today, so go ahead.
Safer in the newsroom.
Yeah.
The big concern, talking about these Zoom meetings and everything, the way we're doing it, social distancing, it's not so much a concern to have 19 supervisors or 10 council people on a screen having a meeting. The concern comes in because you've got to hear from department heads as well. And so getting those people hooked up, and now you've got upwards of 30 people maybe trying to log on to one meeting, and looking at a screen of 30 heads, in a square box on a screen can be somewhat confusing. Who's talking now, and where is that person? Where can I find them? Who's saying what? The other concern is I have a right as a citizen to address my county board or my council. So now the big question is, how do you do citizen comments? If I have a concern with my county government, my supervisor, whatever, or my city council, how are they handling comments from the public, and how are those comments getting through, and are people going to be able to find, how are they even going to know? How is that information getting out? Do I call in? If so, what's those are some major concerns that I think the citizens should be having right now in terms of addressing their bodies of government.
Absolutely. Those are very good points. And let me address the citizens' point you made, first of all, because that was one of my concerns. That's a big deal. And temporarily what we've done to accomplish that is that anyone that would normally want to come physically to the meeting to make a comment would be able to get any kind of comments in writing to the county clerk, and those comments would be shared with the county board by the clerk. That's not to say that will go on into perpetuity. I think there'll be probably some other arrangement made, but for the time being, you would still be able to share a comment, which is not a lot different from the way we do it now, because when we have public comment at any meetings, they're not public debate. They are public comment. You're allowed to make a comment. We don't answer questions during those public comment periods. We don't take stands or debate anything that's said in public comment. We are allowing the public to make comment on issues that are going to come before the board. So that doesn't change dynamically in that sense. Will it in the future? That's probably up to the next county board and the administrator. As far as the number of people in the meeting, our IT director, Amy Kopp, and her staff have worked very hard on making that as pain-free as possible. We've been able to make it very comfortable for large groups to attend the meetings. In fact, we've gone away from Zoom. I'm surprised one of the issues that you didn't bring up was the hacking that's been taking place on the Zoom platform. And so we very early on went away from Zoom and went to an internal thing, a WebEx function, which is much more secure for the county. And they've worked very hard. I've run several meetings with that. The emergency government director has run several meetings where there's probably comparable numbers to a county board meeting there. As far as staff, at the county board meetings, there would be arrangements made for a certain number of them that had definite agenda items to be available, either physically in that room or via electronic conferencing, and then they would all be asked to be on some type of standby for any type of questions or advice that would come up during the meeting. So all those points have been considered. I'm not saying they're perfect by any means, but again, we are in uncharted waters, and this is probably a first step in the direction of how we're going to handle these things. Yeah,
and I'll just make one other comment or point, and then let you go back to the discussion you were having. But the concern too at the city council, in watching the city council meeting in Marshfield the other night, and then talking with the mayor and the city administrator on yesterday about this in a press conference opportunity, how are they going to handle, another concern was a closed session. If they had to go into closed session through remote, how did they do that? And so they're working out the bugs of these various things. But it's these are trying times. It's good to know that at least these county and city officials are willing to, well, I guess they have no choice but to think outside the box and try new things. So hang in there.
Yeah. And thanks for your comments again. And I think to mention the closed sessions, actually, I believe from a technological point of view, the closed session is probably the least problematic. That would be very easy to take a group of supervisors and basically technologically lock them up in a closed space. I think that's fairly easy to do. I was mentioning to you, Jeff, before the show that I took part in a Zoom trivia contest last night with my financial advisor, his group of clients and stuff we got together for. And we split up into chat groups to divide answers. And we were in a group all by ourselves, locked away from everybody else. Nobody else could hear us or see us. And so I think that technologically that's very easy to accomplish. And I have full confidence in our IT director. I shut down. I actually canceled a couple meetings. I canceled the last county board meeting because of concerns. And back to the point, one of my biggest concerns was public comment. I mean, people, there's been times when the county boardroom was packed with people. There was more spectators there wanting to make public comment than there was supervisors, by far, maybe triple the number of supervisors. And at the time, last county board meeting, had the technology decided on yet, or didn't know what we had exactly. that we could accomplish that safely. And so, unprecedentedly, with an agenda.
The problem that you have, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, statutorily, is that you need to let the public know at least enough in advance that they can or cannot attend. So when you're working in a public entity, you're always letting people, you have to let it before really.
Yeah, line is 48 hours.
Okay,
you certainly don't like to cut it that's for sure, because it's important to have public. I mean, we're about open government. I mean, at least I am. That's critical, and you want people there. You want people to be involved in their government, and so that's a critical piece for me.
You're listening to the site live on AM 1450 WDLB. You may be watching us in video here through MarshfieldMediaAccess.org. You will be seeing us recorded version on channel 989, your Spectrum Digital tier here, on and off throughout the month, as Marshfield Media Access is in the studio with us doing the video here for our Insight program on the Fridays in the months as we bring in a. So you can chime in here live, 384-2191, 384-2191. Doug Machon, the county board chairman, for the last time here before he walks off into the mist.
Never to be seen again.
Yeah. Well, I hope not.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
Better seen than viewed, I guess.
I'm gratified by the number of people that have asked me to consider running for different offices, and you know what? Not going to happen. I'm done. I am done, and I will hold fast. In fact, I doubt if you'll ever see me in a courthouse unless I have to go get a birth certificate or something like that. But
or in cuffs. No.
Yeah. It's like smoking, a cold turkey. I'm the cold turkey guy. I'm done. But I will miss, and in fact, one of the things I want to do is give me 20 minutes at the end. I've got some people that I really would like to have.
We will try to recap here some of your time here as we talked in advance of this program. I said bring in some of the things that you'd like to say about how your tenure went here.
Yeah.
And about this portion of the program here, talking about how things are going forward in the day and age we live in at the present time, uncharted waters here that we're in. First of all, with video conferencing and what software you use and how to try to do that. And like I said, it looks like a Star Trek council here with all these little monitors sitting in the places of the supervisors, and they're all looking at you through their camera, and you're looking at them, and there's just heads sitting on the tables there, but you got to get business done, so the world goes around.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I just like that guy, I'd take a cardboard cutout of myself and put him up in front of the camera.
We are the Jetsons.
Jeff, do you have anything to add? Just turn it. No, just wiggle my cardboard guy.
Or a sock puppet. During our trivia contest last night, I was doing some crazy stuff because you could see everybody up there. So I was doing some crazy stuff, and you could see, and you can unmute or mute yourself, and then also you can chat with people privately, taking part, just with them or with everybody. You can make comments. So it's a very unique platform, and it's actually kind of fun. It was actually, when my wife and I got done, it was 2 hours, and we ate a pizza while we were doing it and had a cocktail, and it was like a night out. It was like, hey, that was fun. It was kind of fun. Who needs to go out anymore? Let's lock the doors.
That's another
Let's sell
thing.
a car.
That's a whole different can of fish there, that kettle of fish there, because what it's going to mean for socialization here. We were already sliding down that path in a way that we were trying to pump the brakes.
Oh, we've changed. We will change. This will change us as a society. This will change us as humanity. I mean, okay, it's not a harbinger of, I'm not trying to predict the future or anything, but I think that long term this sets precedent for how we interact as human beings. And like anything else, like cell phones. Look what cell phones have done to us. I mean, cell phones, when I was a kid growing up, you didn't have a cell phone that you dad for a ride or whatever, or your friend whenever you wanted to. I mean, you walked to a drugstore and begged them to use the phone after track practice so you could call and maybe your dad was there and you could ride home. Different days. I mean, 10-year-old kids have cell phones now. I mean, all my grandkids have cell phones. That's craziness. I who would remember? Well, and you know what I hear? Well, you don't need that. So I tell Sam, you don't need that cell phone. Well, what do you do if you get a flat tire? Well, you jack up the car and change it.
Wouldn't even where to find it anymore.
Yeah, really.
When the mechanic showed me where it is, I said, how the hell am I supposed to get to that?
I mean, really, we've become that helpless. So it's changed us dynamically as as a human being, as a social animal, whatever you want to characterize it as. But it's certainly
the way you put
changed.
that, as we look back in history, there's going to be a 2020
Probably.
where it's between change course.
I think that's possible.
Sociologically.
I'm not a sociologist, but I play one on TV.
Okay, talking with Doug Machon here, County Board Chairman. Actual business we have here on the board, but we're just talking about how they're even able to do business. We'll talk more coming up here. You can join us, 384-2191, 384-2191, live on AM 1450 WDLB, coming to you in video here on Marshfield Media Access.
Hi, this is John Albrecht, Market Manager of Seahafer Broadcasting.
And this is from the Marshfield Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
During the uncertainty, we want to remind you that as a community, we are better together.
And with everyone's support, we will get through this trying time.
Now more than ever, it's important for us to shop local and to stay local.
The generosity of the Marshfield area has supported nonprofits and local businesses alike. If we all continue to practice that generosity by giving and supporting these organizations, we will be stronger together in the end.
And isn't that what community is all about? Supporting one another in the good times and the uncertain times.
Purchase a gift certificate from your favorite local retailer or the chamber. Order takeout or have dinner delivered tonight for your family. Please do whatever you can do to continue to support our local economy.
Remember, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, along with our team here at Seahafer Broadcasting, are here to serve our community.
So please, shop local and support your neighbors.
Stay local.
We will persevere.
AM 1450 WDLB's Inside program. It's the third Friday in the month of April. You know that if you're listening live here on the radio. Watching us in rebroadcast on video here on Spectrum Channel 989 and on your digital tier on your television, or you could be watching us on your pooter somewhere. Maybe on your phone too. I don't video on my phone too much because the numbers, that's all charges. And I know you're supposed to buy chunks and blah, blah, blah. It's all relevant to me.
I just getting down your microchip in your wrist.
Is that where they put it? I had a pain in my rump. I thought maybe that's where they put it. Talking with Wood County Board Chairman Doug Machon on his final program here with us. I have no idea if we'll continue this because we don't know who that's going to be yet. You may have some inside intuition, but...
Well, there I go predicting.
Well, you don't have to. I'm not going to put you on the spot and do that because, like you care. You're walking out the door, like you said. I don't know. Think of me what you will now. When you're in public, it's a whole different kettle of fish, though, isn't it?
It is.
There's these things that pass around on Facebook. I'm not trying to please anybody, or you don't have to be my friend, or if that's okay, I'll be me, and you can kiss my keister and all that. And I'm thinking to myself, you haven't been in public office or on radio, or you're trying to get people to, if you're not a likable guy, you're not going to last very long.
Hey, you know what? Honesty is the best policy. I mean, those are the best words. You know what? I'm too dumb to lie. That's always been my problem. I'm too dumb to lie because I can't. If I start lying, I can't keep track of them. So I'm you know what? Does that make people mad? Probably. If I got something to say and you're not going to like it, that's the way it goes. I'm not going to tell you something that's not true and hope that you like it and you go away. But the fact is, you say it, you better own it. If you think it, probably you better own it. But that's kind of the way I've operated. And sometimes people don't like that. People do. You can paint anyone and anything anybody says any way you want today, and that's the problem. That is absolutely the problem. The tactics of politics in political office. It's been acceptable to be deceitful and to lie. I won't play that. That's part of the reason I'm leaving. You know what? I'm sick of that crap. And
because they'll do it to you.
And that's the way. But I'm not. I told my people a long time ago. I'm not crawling in that mud hole. if you want to smear me, I'm just not going to play that game. People will know, actions speak louder than words, and I'll stand by what I've done and what I do. And if you want to listen to anybody that wants to paint it any differently, that's your prerogative. And but I'm not going to. As a county board chairman, I always thought I should be above that, and I would not crawl in that hole. And that's pretty much the way I did it. I paid a price at times, certainly.
How long have you been chairman?
2 years. 2 years. It would be 2 years probably from around this date that I was elected. I've been on the board for 8 years. But
when you say elected, you were elected by supervisors?
I was elected by the county board.
It
is an internal election. That's
annually?
Right. Biannually.
Okay, so your 2-year term.
The organizational meeting after the elections. The first county board meeting after the elections is called the organizational meeting. At that meeting is when the chairman is elected by the body.
And that's coming up?
That's coming up on Tuesday.
As we talk to you here on this third Friday of the month.
Yep, absolutely.
And again, I'll say on this program when we have video is that what you're watching now has already resolved itself, so you have to understand that we didn't have the luxury of those of you who are watching us know how everything turned out.
Yeah, and I will be in my underground bunker.
With your crackers and your water.
And shotguns loaded.
Note to self. I'll call ahead. As long as you got your cell phone charger, you're okay. But it doesn't have much range underground.
There we go. Yeah.
Just a tip there.
Yeah.
That lead wall you're behind.
The only clue you'll get is my bunker is where I can get Wi-Fi.
Little antenna sticking up out of the dirt in the backyard. I think that's him. Talking with Doug Machon here. Okay, so how does the transition go? Now, you alluded to part of it here. You have what's known as the organizational meeting with the newest members.
Yeah.
Orientation. Most of them are repeats, right?
Well, Ed Wagner from Marshfield is kind of a repeat. He was off the board for 2 years. He decided to run again. He's back on. So he has some perspective of the county board, which is probably a good thing. We have 3 new John Holkamp, who happens to be the son of a currently sitting county board member, Marion Holkamp. So John has as well some probably political perspective through his mother on what takes place on the board, how it operates, at least parochially. And then we have 2 brand new members. One is a Hmong gentleman named Lee Todd, and which is great because it brings some diversity to the board, which I think is critical and welcome. But he also has some experience on the Wisconsin Rapids City Council as well. So councils and the county board run differently. We'll catch on quick. And then we have the young lady that's taken my spot, Laura Van. Her name, and I told her, I said, I wouldn't want to be you. You have some very large shoes to fill.
Don't intimidate your successor.
No, she'll do great. A younger demographic, female, which you know me, we've talked, and I'm all for having more females on the board. There should be half the board should be females in my mind. 51% of our population in Wood County is females, and I think right now we will have 2. I think we're down to 2. We will have 2. I'll say it. It's not right. Should be more females on that board.
Well, we do something in today's society, though, where you can't have a perspective on that unless you are one. Whether it's ethnicity, whether it's gender, whether it's, you can't unless you're one. And you can't say anything about that unless you are one. You out of your element, so to speak, here. You have to watch exactly what you say and do.
I never have.
I don't know that that's always, and sometimes yes. Yeah. Sometimes yes. I don't know childbirth. Yeah. I never will.
No.
I don't have a perspective on that.
I have a little bit. I was in the room.
With a catcher's mitt. So, yes, there's no absolutes.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't know that sometimes we put a lot of, you don't know what I went through unless you're one of me.
Yeah, and that has some relevance. I won't say it doesn't, but at what point does it lose that impact?
Politically, people use that as a lever.
Politically, people use everything. Anything you can grab, you use. I mean, that's become acceptable practice. Like I said, some of the tactics and some of the tact we use politically offends me. Quite frankly, it offends me.
Even on your team,
yeah,
whatever team you
exactly.
happen to be on.
Exactly. I'm not on a team. That's always probably the problem I've had. People want to put me on a team, but you know what?
No matter what.
Exactly. And if they can use it,
if you're not this, you're that.
Exactly. And if they can use it to make me look bad, that's what's going to happen. If I am a Republican, the other side's going to use that as bad. If I'm perceived as a Democrat, the other side's going to use that. So it's all about DNR, which is horsepucky. It always has been to me. You're not allowed to think pragmatically, or you're not allowed to think for yourself. You can't have an opinion unless it aligns with somebody's party. That's what's wrong with politics in this state, in this country, in this county.
Yeah. It's the way of the society today.
Yeah.
And
people need to wake up.
Well, we begin to fall into those, as they call them, silos anyway, even as citizens, whether you're for me or against me. It's like, no, we live in the gray.
Yep.
So anyway, so then we go on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, from the time you're watching this program or listening to it here, to organizational, which is in itself just passing out packets and letting people know the parliamentary procedure?
Well, of course, that first resolution will go before the board to set the emergency
to allow you not to have to be there. So is everybody going to?
What's going to happen is they may probably suspend some county board rules for that meeting, so that they can take care of business. And whether they decide to carry that forward and make it more permanent in the form of a county board rule, I can't. My hunch is that they probably think it would be very prudent to do so. I won't be there. My dog has died in that fight, but I think it would be very prudent to do that, and I think that's the advice they'll get from a lot of sources. Anybody going forward, there shouldn't be a fight on that. If this pandemic hasn't awoken you to the fact that things change very quickly, and you better be proactive, you better be prepared, then I don't know what will. And how better could you prepare than to use the example that we've been given and how we've been operating to set up a paradigm for the future on how you're going to do business in an emergency situation.
So when that meeting is taking place, then you need a quorum to set a new chairman.
Yep, there'll be a quorum there.
Okay.
Yeah, one way or the other, there'll be a quorum.
Video or personal?
Yeah, I think that from what I saw an email from the county clerk asking people that if they weren't planning on being there to please let him know so that I help those people get set up, and I didn't see anyone that wasn't physically. So
okay.
I think you'll have 19 supervisors in the room, and business will go on.
And from that point on, then, it will be election of chairman, and
the resolution will come first, and then the next procedural move would be the election of the new chairman, and that would also be done. The floor would be open for nominations by the clerk. Clerk will run the first part of the meeting because I, of course, will not be there. Otherwise, I would do that. But I am, as of Monday, I'm done. My term is done, and so the clerk will run that first part of the meeting, first 10 minutes probably. After that, the new chairman will take over.
As that new person takes over, then their responsibility is to be the parliamentary head of keeping the agenda on task, mainly?
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's the thing in Wood County, administratively, we have a unique situation. It's one of the only ones, I think, out of maybe there might be 3 or 4 left in the state where by a county board chairman / administrative coordinator. Statutorily, you're allowed to administer county functions in 3. That's either a county executive, a county administrator, or a administrative coordinator. Wood County chooses to make their board chairman, the administrative coordinator as well, which was always problematic for me. I think it probably could be problematic for most people because I go deep of it. Okay, board chairman is a political function. Board chairman is administrative coordinator is an administrator's hat. That's you're
hat. I thought you said hack.
Yeah, well, it could be either or both. But the fact is that's a managerial function. You're tasked with administering department heads. So it may be. But the fact is, as an administrative coordinator, that's probably the weakest of the administrative titles because you have no real authority. You can confer with and counsel and meet with staff, but you don't hire, you don't fire, you can't direct anything. So from an administrative...
Well, who's the decider then in the county?
Well, there you go.
I mean, there's going to be
go.
skirmishes amongst departments or amongst, HR and people, and somebody's got to be saying,
very
this
good,
is how
very
we're going to do
perceptive.
this.
Yeah, very perceptive.
Well, you have, the city governments that we have in central Wisconsin. You have the figurehead mayor, or you have the mayor full-time, and he's the decider.
Yeah,
or you have the
same
city
type of
administrator,
situation.
and he's the decider. You can try to do the end around with the mayor, and he'll probably have a little meeting, but there's no...
I'd love to be the mayor of Wisconsin Rapids with an executive budget and full administrative authority. Wow, give me a piece of that action. That's a lot different than county board chair, I'll tell you that. Wood County, I'll say it right here. I don't know if I've ever said it directly, but Wood County needs an administrator. An administrator, not an administrative coordinator. They need an administrator.
The decider.
Yep. They need a director of staff.
Talking with Wood County Board Chairman for the final time here, Doug Machon, as he steps down, and the new administrator will be taken up here. By the time you're watching this, you probably will know who that is already because we're on the third Friday of the month, and this will come up early next week. If you're watching us after that, you know how all of our discussion came out here, so you have the advantage. There's, as you mentioned earlier in the program, some time you wanted to have, and I'll give you that here in just a moment, and we'll talk about how things have gone under the time you've been on the board coming up.
Mall Furniture of Marshfield is open for business. The showroom is closed for now, but you can still shop online and have your merchandise now. Just go to bigclearancesale.com. You can pick it up at Mall's curbside, or they can deliver it to yours. See all types of furniture available now: mattresses, adjustable beds, lift chairs, lazy boy recliners, sectionals, sofas, living room groups, dining room sets, bedroom furniture, futons, and more. If you can't find it online, call them up, message them on Facebook, or email them about whatever you need. Mall Furniture appreciates your business over the last 45 years and looks forward to serving you for many more.
Moving Marshfield forward by giving back. At Forward Bank, that's what it's all about. Hi, this is Bill Senholtz, President and CEO at Forward Bank. We're proud to say that 100% of our deposits are being invested in loans in our communities. That means your deposit dollars are staying here to help local businesses and families who need financing. To help move our communities forward, stop in and open your account today or open your account online at www.forward.bank. Member FDIC.
AM 1450 WDLB's Insight program here for this third Friday in April of 2020. Still under, go to Panda Express. No, I go to Pandemic. We're under pandemic rules here. And we're talking with Wood County Board Chairman Doug Machon, who is still that as of this time that we're airing this program. However, that will change here very shortly in the next few days into early next week. But as I talked to you about this last time, I thought it's interesting for me to get your perspective on some of the things that have happened from your seat and things that you wanted to talk about. And you said you had some people to thank. So.
Yeah, I do have. I have a long list of people to thank. But I think if I talk about some of these things, I can thank them simultaneously. But specifically in my time on board chair, one of the things I always like to say is when I came on the county board in 2012, the first budget I was involved with was $88 million. Last budget I was involved with was $120 million, just to give some perspective on.
That's a 2-year term.
Yeah.
That's how it's jumped.
Yeah. That's over 8 years. That's over 8 years.
Oh, you went
from 88 million.
You weren't chairman the whole. You mean from the time you were a supervisor?
First 6 years I was just a supervisor. The last 2 years I was chairman.
Okay.
So, but we jumped about $5 million in the time I was a term, or in the term of my chairmanship. But we did some big things. Courthouse security was a big thing. I'd like to thank the Sheriff Sean Becker, been an ally in many things, done a good job. So we did some things. I think a couple of things that we really did is developing a county strategic plan. It was something that I thought was funny that we didn't have. And so we went a long ways. Donna Rosar, the vice chair, took that responsibility, led that charge along with Nancy Turek out of our extension office. She was the public educator for the extension office, and they took that bull by the horns and developed a county strategic plan, which I think ongoing, if that's maintained, that will be a crucial part of how we do business in Wood County, necessary part. Of course, the first county-owned solar array. I mean, that it will be a laboratory that will show us how much money we can save if we want to on energy costs for the county. That's a big hit for taxpayers. That's a big part of your. A lot of ways that can be developed. Nancy was also involved in that, as well as Jason Grunberg. And Chad Schooley had a big piece in that. My thanks go out to all those people. They've been very helpful. Chad's staff was involved with, as well with ATV trail expansion. We did a lot of that in the county. Again, Jason Grunberg, Chad Schooley were a big part of that. Their staffs as well. And so my big hat's off to them as well. They helped out quite a bit. We got county employees to market rate on pay scale. I think that was a big step. I'll stick my neck out here as long as the last show too is, you know what, there's two sides to compensation for employees. One is benefits, one is wage. We've got wages at market. Now we need to get benefits at market. One was up, the other one's going to be down. And that's the way it is, but fair is fair. And I've always said that, you know, what we want to do is ensure that we're fair. I think that's what you do. We don't play games with that stuff. You're probably not going to get your cake and eat it too, in a lot of times. But the fact is whatever you get is going to be fair. That's an ongoing discussion. We'll see how that goes. It's going to be a political fight on the board. But that being said, we accomplished some things that I think were meaningful, that going forward will have an effect on the county. The people that really were behind it, you have to be able to surround yourself. When you're doing business and when you're doing open and honest government, you know what, Jeff? You got to kill snakes every day. And a lot of my time was spent trying to kill snakes. And that's sad because the real business didn't get focused on. But you have to surround yourself, I think, and I realized it very early, that you have to surround yourself with a core group of people that really you can trust. And I was very fortunate. I had 4 very, very strong people that were my inner counsel. Good advice. I never had to filter anything from them. I knew I could trust them. And those people were Kim McGrath, our HR director, Nancy Turek, who I said was the educator from Extension, Jason Gruenberg at Planning and Zoning, also Economic Development, and Peter Casanels, our Corp Counsel. Those people were my big 4. And without their support and loyalty, I don't know that we would have gotten as much done as we did. So I'm forever appreciative of those people, as well as my wife, Jen. I forgot here, but Jen, my wife, and those of you who know me know that she was, everything but got bounced off Jen first. Very intelligent woman, and very blessed and thankful that I have someone that I could do that. And people that knew me best knew how much, I like to bounce things off her. Didn't always agree with her, but she was a good foil for a lot of things. But those are the people that had a lot to do with a lot of things. Then you talk about other department heads that we had that are really good, and I can talk about Amy Kopp at IT. I can talk about Sue Comferman, our health officer, who's proven her worth in this pandemic. She's done a fantastic job, very well thought of, statewide as well. Brandon Vrurink, who heads our human services. We have not been touched by the pandemic in any of our long-term care facilities or skilled nursing facilities. That's fantastic. We were way ahead of the curve on that. We had those places shut down, locked up tight, way before anybody else did, and it's proven itself, how effective that is. Some people in Marshfield, Bob McManus, of course, I always got along good with Bob. Bob was a great guy to counsel with on many issues. Josh Miller, another good guy. From the UW, I had the opportunity to meet some fantastic people when I was on the commission. Pat Stewart, who I'm sure you talked to, fantastic lady. Keith Montgomery remains a friend to this day. I just talked to him this morning. We have lunch on a monthly basis. Another great guy. Brian Panzer that was there. Michelle Bornke. fantastic people. Two outside chairs that when I first got into government, I sat on committees that were chaired by two ladies that were very, very special to me. They're very strong chairs, and I can remember thinking to myself, if I ever become a chairman of anything, I want to be just like them. That was Joanne Leonard, who chaired the ADRC of Central Wisconsin, and Colleen Bates from Eau Claire, who chaired a steering committee for WCA that I sat on, Human Services Steering Committee. Great ladies, great politicians, great civic leaders. Linda Weitz, who is a former executive director of the ADRC, fantastic person. Drew Gibbons and Mark Mauersberger, who are two of the people that are from Savion that are working on the Wood County Solar Project. Great people to work with, enjoyed it, really appreciate their efforts. Sherry Wall and David Voss from Myron, who were the project engineers and managers at the STEM building in Marshfield. Got to know them people very well, great people. They did a lot for me. They helped me a lot. They helped the campus a lot. Jim Webster at Ho-Chunk. I can't say enough about Jim Webster and the Ho-Chunk. Jim Webster is a guy that really gets it on the economic development side. Fantastic collaborator with the county, one of our best. I hope that goes forward. Jim Webster is one of the guys I will very much miss. Adam Estes, who also works out there. Heather McKellips at Encourage Foundation. Susan Feith at Mead Witter Foundation. Mary Jo Carson, former mayor in Rapids. Gus Mancuso at Encourage. Two very great advocates for the disenfranchised in our communities, and I want to give them a shout out. Lonnie Selge and Rick Humphreys in Wisconsin Rapids in particular. Great advocates for those that don't have what we sometimes have, and for people that can't always pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Big shout out to those people. They are some of the strongest advocates I've ever met in my life, and they do a darn good job. Bobby Namro at Midstate, workforce development person. Arnie Nystrom, chairman out in Township of Grand Rapids, worked with me hard on solar. Arnie's a guy that gets it. Really enjoyed my time with him. The media people, yourself included, Tom, James at WFHR, Carl Hilke, who has since left us, but my thanks to all of you, because you really gave me an opportunity to lend my voice, to share what was going on. That's not always the case. It's not very widely done in the county, so I really appreciated that opportunity. Let's see. Roxy Wettrow at the foundation, in the University Foundation. Angel Whitehead at Central Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce, along with Krista Kuhn. Meredith Klecker and Matt McLean in both of the Convention and Visitors Bureaus, Wisconsin Rapids and Marshfield. Great people, fun to work with. Very bright as well. Scott Larson here at Mackey. Steve Koth, a councilman in Rapids, who I counseled with lots and called me on many issues that we shared with city and county. Jim that I met at the ADRC in Central Wisconsin, who I, again, remained strong friends with. He was the vice chair when I was the chair up there. Great guy. Love to talk to him about philosophy. Smart guy. Jeremy Sickler. I can't say enough about Jeremy Sickler. He is the airport manager in Wisconsin Rapids. What a fantastic job that kid has done. Really believes in the area. I mean, he's a guy I worry about losing because he's got so much upside, but he's committed to the area, and he knows economic development. He knows the pieces that nobody else does when it comes to aviation and transportation and those little niche things. What an asset to the community. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Gordy Earle, one of my first really strong alliances when I came on the county board here at the UW Commission. Gordy was a very strong supporter. Bob McManus, I've married. Three supervisors, in fact, four, I will say, that really meant a lot to me on the county board, especially these two, Ken Curry and Bill Lightnum, who always had my back. Always had my back when I needed it. I appreciate it. I will remember their support forever. Bob Ashbeck is a supervisor that I was happy to see got reelected, a guy that I really represents his people well. Dave LaFontaine, a supervisor from Marshfield, great guy, gets it, very engaged, and does a great job for Marshfield. Josh Miller, I mentioned. Donna Rosar, I've said before how much I appreciate and I'm gratified by the relationship that Donna and I have come to have. A great lady I have a lot of respect for. Some staff people that probably don't get mentioned a lot, but Kelly Quinnell in the HR department did a lot for me. logistically and otherwise. She put together some PowerPoints, did a great job. Sandy Green, Sue Pataki, Victoria Wilson, Lisa Downs in the Corp Counsel's office. Those people probably got sick of seeing me. Steve Cruiser, Sarah Christensen, Mark Stickley at Emergency Government. All those people I've named, and on the top of that is my wife, and especially I would like to thank Trent Miner, our county clerk. I've had the opportunity to tell people, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, Wood County has the best county clerk in the state of Wisconsin. I'll tell you that. I'm proud to have appointed Trent Miner to the county clerk's position. He is a fantastic clerk, great counsel. We had many serious talks. Always procedurally was there. When I was up in the front of that room and he was beside me, I felt very safe, very confident. Cindy Seapress, the former clerk, I'd like to thank her. She really helped me out when I was a new supervisor. Gary Elwarden, a supervisor that has passed, was a guy that initially got me interested and involved in the county board. Those are the people I got, and my hat's off to every one of them, and my sincere thanks and gratitude for allowing me to be a part of their lives, and I am certainly thankful that they were a part of mine.
It's a testament to you that in your exit here that you take the time to talk about the people. Because when you see these people on the award shows get up there and you think to yourself, how many people, how many breaks, how many times from the time they were teenagers and had their teeth cut on the stage at the high school with the drama coach, and how many people along the way touched them and moved them in a different direction or whatever that wound them up there. And they'll tell you that too if they're honest, but you can't thank everybody.
No, I wish I could, but there are exactly those little nuances. I could go back to high school teachers or Tom Wahlberg. I was thinking on the way up here, Tom Wahlberg was a manager. I have a history in business management way back, and Tom Wahlberg was a boss of mine. He was a vice president in charge of production, and I moved up through the ranks under Tom and moved into some very high positions within a corporation. And Tom was one of the first guys to take me under his wing and teach me about professionalism and ethics and honesty and work ethic. And Tom, wherever you are, last I heard it was South Carolina. Thank you.
Yeah, there's those little forks in the road at times. When people believe in you, there's nothing more powerful than that.
Believe me.
Well, thank you for all the time that you've given us here and forthrightness coming up here and allowing yourself to be quizzed. Although people may or may not take advantage of it here on the radio for whatever their reason may be, you've made yourself available to us and never pulled a punch. And I hope that we can continue with the next supervisor in that we bring what's happening to the people because people don't have time and to attend the meetings and be a part and engaged as much as we'd like to, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't affect us.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Jeff.
Best
thank
wishes.
you, Tom. Yeah.
Here on
pleasure.
AM 1450 WDLB's Insight program, Doug Machon, exiting County Board Chairman. On today's program, I'm Jeff Canon. We will talk to you again here in this time slot, weekday mornings on WDLB.